I will never forget the night we entered Okuta Forest. If I had known what was waiting for us inside, I would have never agreed to go. But as they say, curiosity is the enemy of the wise. It all started when my cousin, Tunji, came back to the village from the city. He had always been the adventurous type, full of stories about the things he had seen. That evening, as we sat outside under the full moon, he said something that made all of us pause. Have any of you ever been inside Okuta Forest at night? We all turned to look at him. Everyone in the village knew about Okuta Forest. Our parents warned us never to go near it, especially after dark. People had disappeared in that forest. Some went in, came back mad, speaking strange languages. Some never came back at all. But Tunji laughed. All those are just stories. He said, there is no such thing as spirits or curses. It's just a normal forest. I should have argued. I should have walked away. But my best friend, Temi, was there too, and he never backed out from a challenge. Before I knew it, the four of us, Tunji, Temi, my younger brother, Sharon and I, were standing at the edge of the dark forest, holding our torchlights. 15 minutes inside, then we come out. Deal? Tunji said, grinning. Reluctantly, we agreed. The moment we stepped inside, the air changed. It was thick, heavy, like we had walked into another world. The trees were tall and twisted, their branches stretching out like claws. It was quiet, too quiet. Even the crickets refused to sing. Maybe we should turn back, Shaun whispered. Scared already? Tunji teased. We pushed further. Our footsteps crunched on dry leaves. That was when we heard it. A low, humming sound, almost like someone singing. Temi stopped. Did you hear that? We all nodded. The sound was coming from deeper inside. And then we saw her. A woman stood in the middle of the path. She wore a white wrapper. Her hair long and wild. Her back was facing us, but we could hear her humming. Slow, haunting. It sent chills down my spine. Excuse me, ma, Tunji said. The woman stopped humming. Slowly, too slowly, she turned her head. Only her head. Her body did not move. That was when we ran. I have never felt fear like that in my life. We didn't know where we were going. We just ran. The trees seemed to move, shifting like they were alive. The ground felt soft. It was sinking. The humming sound grew louder around us until Temi screamed. I turned to him on the ground, struggling. Something was pulling him. A hand, dark as the darkness, long fingers wrapped around his ankles, was dragging him inside the shadows. We grabbed him, pulling as hard as we could. The hand was strong, but somehow we tore Temi free. He scrambled up and we ran without looking back. When we finally burst out of the forest, gasping for breath, we collapsed on the ground. Temi's leg had deep scratches, but he was alive. The next morning, the village elders came to us. You're lucky, one of them said. You met the woman of the forest. She does not like visitors. We learned that day that the woman was once a villager who had been wronged many years ago, betrayed, and left to die in the forest. Her spirit never found rest. Anyone who entered her territory was either taken or marked. Temi never returned the same. After that night, he stopped talking about it. Sometimes I would catch him staring at nothing, as if he could still hear the humming. As for Tunji, he never called Okuta Forest fake again. I wish I could tell you that was the end of the story, that we all moved on and never looked back. But some things don't let you go easily. For weeks after that night, Temi changed. He stopped coming outside. He barely spoke. When we tried to ask him what was wrong, he would just shake his head. At night, his mother said he hears him whispering in his sleep. Sometimes he hummed. It was the same earth tune we had heard in Okuta Forest. Then, one morning, his mother ran into our compound screaming. Temi was missing. My heart stopped. I knew where he had gone before anyone said it. I don't know how I found the courage, but I knew I had to go after him. Tunji and Sheryl refused at first, but in the end, we all went. This time, we brought a lantern, a bottle of oil, which the elders said would protect us from evil spirits, and a small calabash filled with salt and kola nuts given to us by the village priest. If you see her again, the priest had warned, drop the kola nuts on the ground and do not speak. No matter what you hear, do not speak. I held on to his words as we entered the forest. The moment we stepped inside, it felt different from before. The air was thicker, hotter, like the trees themselves were watching us. The lantern flickered, as if something unseen was trying to blow it out. Temi, we called. No answer. But then we heard the humming sound. Soft as first, then louder. The same song from that night. A shadow moved ahead of us. We raised the lantern, and there he was, Temi, standing in the middle of the path, facing away from us. Temi, let's go, Sheryl whispered. He didn't move. We stepped closer. That was when we saw it. His feet weren't touching the ground. A cold wave of fear ran through me. Temi, I called again, but Tunji grabbed my arm, shaking his head. Then slowly, Temi turned around. His eyes were white, rolled back into his head. His lips moved, humming that same sound. Behind him, the trees twisted, unnaturally, and she stepped forward, the woman from before. Her face was clearer this time. Her skin was pale, stretched too tight over her bones. Her eyes, black and hollow, looked onto us. She smiled. Her lips cracked and dried. When she spoke, it was in a voice that did not belong to this world. Tunji was shaking behind me. Sheryl held my arm so tightly until it hurt. Temi took a step towards her. I forced myself to remember the priest's words. I stretched into the calabash, grabbed the kola nut, and threw it on the ground. The woman's smile disappeared. The humming stopped. For a long moment, nothing moved. Then Temi gasped, his body jerking like something had just been ripped out of him. He collapsed onto the ground, coughing, eyes wide with terror. When we looked on again, the woman was gone. We didn't wait. We carried Temi and ran. By the time we reached the village, he was weak but alive. The elders took him in, performed cleansing rituals, and warned us never to speak of what happened again. Temi never told us what he saw in the forest. He never hummed that song again. But one thing was clear. The woman of Okuta Forest was real, and she was still watching. For a while, after we rescued Temi, things seemed to go back normal. It got better, though it was never quite the same. It was quieter, more distant, as if part of him was still trapped in that forest. But the real horror began a few weeks later. One by one, people in the village started disappearing. First, it was Mama Bidemi's son. Then, Auntie Grace's daughter Bose. Both of them were last seen walking near the edge of Okuta Forest. The forest was calling again, and it wanted more. The elders gathered, discussing what to do. Some wanted to burn down the forest, but the oldest man in the village, Baba Adi, shook his head. You cannot fight what you do not understand. Then he turned to us. You boys went in and came back. The spirit knows you. It is not finished with you. A cold dread filled me. What do we do? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Baba Adi sighed. You must end it. We didn't understand at first, but he explained that the spirit in the forest was once a woman from our village. A long time ago, she was betrayed and murdered there by her own family. They left her body in the forest, refusing to give her a proper burial. Her spirit has remained restless ever since. She does not want to harm or hurt. She wants justice, and there was only one way to set her free. We had to find her remains and bury her properly. To find her remains and bury them, that was too much. We were scared. We all backed out, refusing to go back, until Tunji and I began to have weird dreams of the forest. It got worse as the day goes by. Sheung and Temi followed. We have to go back, I said to Tunji, Temi and Sheung. The next night, Tunji, Sheung, Temi and I went back to Kuta Forest, this time prepared. We carried palm oil, salt, white cloth and a small lantern. Baba Ade gave us a wooden staff marked with old symbols, telling us it would protect us. Walk in together, walk out together, no matter what happens. Do not run. We entered the forest for the last time. Maybe. This time, we didn't call out. We just walked. The humans started almost immediately, floating through the air, wrapping around us like a whisper from the dead. The trees shifted and suddenly, the path changed. One moment, we were walking straight. The next, we were standing in a small clearing, and there she was, the woman of Okuta Forest. Her body was no longer terrifying as before. She looked sad, hollow, a white wrapper moving in an invisible wind. She pointed at the ground. Slowly, we dug. It didn't take long before our hands hit something hard. Bones. Temi, still shaking, carefully wrapped them in the white cloth. The woman watched us, her dark eyes filled with something I couldn't describe. As soon as we finished wrapping the bones, she began to fade. The human stopped. The air felt lighter, and for the first time since we entered the forest, I felt peace. We carried the bones back to the village, and the elders gave her a proper burial. Prayers were said, libations were poured, and Baba Ade whispered her name one last time before covering her grave. From that day on, no one disappeared near Okuta Forest again. The human never returned, and the woman of Okuta Forest, she finally rested. The end.